The Justice Department's recent decision to withdraw from cases against police departments in Minneapolis and Louisville raises serious questions about accountability in law enforcement. This policy reversal comes just days before the anniversary of George Floyd's murder, a tragic event that ignited nationwide protests against police brutality and systemic racism. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon announced that the lawsuits would be dismissed, investigations closed, and previous findings of constitutional violations retracted. Dillon characterized consent decrees as an overreach that imposes unnecessary burdens on local police and leaders, stating that these agreements resulted in what she termed micromanagement and significant financial costs for compliance. This move has sparked criticism from civil rights advocates who argue it undermines efforts to hold police accountable. It is critical to note that while the Justice Department claims the timing is coincidental, the implications of this decision resonate deeply within communities still grappling with the legacy of police violence. As we reflect on this significant moment in history, one must consider whether the rollback of federal oversight will ultimately lead to greater accountability or further entrench systemic issues.
Another step backwards, y'all. The federal government just pulled the plug on civil rights investigations into police departments. So check this out. The Department of Justice just announced the dismissal of lawsuits and investigations into police departments all across the U.S. in cities like Minneapolis and Louisville. Now, these were initiated after the tragic deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, aiming to address patterns of unconstitutional policing. Now, the DOJ claims that these investigations lack sufficient evidence and were overreaching. But critics argue this move undermines efforts to hold law enforcement accountable for civil rights violations. But what are you guys' thoughts on this fucking load of crap? I think it's definitely a step in the wrong direction.
Attention, boys and girls, because here's something that's going to slide under the radar because nobody really pays attention, I guess, except me. In front of the U.S. Supreme Court today, the Trump administration argued that they can arrest anyone at any time for any reason, whether they're a citizen or non-citizen, and ship them overseas to a prison outside of the United States. Now, they're talking about Venezuela, but they're saying they can do it at any time, anywhere, to any prison in the world outside of the U.S. for any reason they want. And the courts have no jurisdiction to stop them. This is what the Solicitor General of the United States argued in court today in front of the Supreme Court. We told you before the election that Donald Trump thinks he's Putin and wants to be Putin and wants to be Kim Jong-un. You people said we didn't know what we were talking about. This is right out of Project 2025, the white Christian nationalist agenda. And Trump's people argued it today in front of the Supreme Court. You don't believe me? Google it and look it up.